say definitively that religions are all bullshit.
Welcome to Brainstorm.
We have the explicit tag for a reason.
This is a base level argument to a higher level morality.
I get paid to science?
Two science as much as one can science.
What the hell was my point?
Trigger warning. The Brainstorm podcast will criticize your most cherished beliefs. We attack nonsense in all its forms and discuss difficult subjects. If you peddle pseudoscience, supernatural woo, or religious dogma, then this is not your safe place. This is the home of hardcore skepticism.
Hi, and welcome to the Brainstorm Podcast Skeptic Studio, where we do interviews, major topics, and news related to skepticism and atheism. I'm Corey, and my panel tonight are Destin.
Bonjour.
Angela.
Hello.
Leo. Lisa.
Bonjour. Much
And
better
Renee.
accent.
Hello.
With the always amazing Dave doing sound.
Hooah.
We're here in Roman Empire Studios in Regina, Saskatchewan, and today is January 20th, 2017. You can listen live every second Friday at 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time on Spreaker, or you can get full-length ad-free episodes by becoming a patron at patreon.com/brainstormpodcast. Tonight's guest is one of my favorite podcasters and is the host of some of the best podcasts out there. Thomas Smith hosts Serious Inquiries Only, Opening Arguments, and Comedy Shoeshine. Thanks for joining us, Thomas.
Hey, thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
So I guess we'll start off with asking a little bit about you and how you got started in the atheist movement and podcasting.
Actually, first, we want to know, are you in a safe place?
Am I?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in a bunker. I'm
good.
far beyond the reach of Trump's appointees to the cabinet.
Little tiny
Jeez.
hands, yeah.
No looters?
No looters.
No, I live in a pretty good place. But yeah, it is. There were some protests, huh? I saw some pretty messy stuff, but it's nowhere near where I am.
Yeah, we're just watching you from Canada and laughing. No offense.
Or not you specifically.
Yeah, it's
No, not you
real
personally.
funny, isn't it? Laugh it up.
Laugh
Real
it up,
funny.
fuzzball.
We have lots
I'm
of
sure.
couches up here if anyone needs to crash.
Yeah, no, totally. We people who need refuge.
Yes.
There's lots of places here.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was just thinking the other day, because I saw a Slate article. It was really good. It was about running for office for the first time and people being inspired to do that because of Trump and all that. And I thought, you know what? That's awesome. Maybe that's an idea. Maybe that's something I should look at. Blah, blah, blah. And then I realized, wait, I'm in California. Never mind. There's no point. Everybody in the shittier states. Oh, I didn't ask. Is cursing good? No.
Oh,
Bad?
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's fine.
Please,
Okay.
please.
Everybody
please
in
do.
the shittier states, liberals, you need to run for stuff. Women, everybody, minorities, run for stuff. Me, just hanging out in California, there's really no point. Like, I'll just
No,
be
you'd have
one
to
of.
move, eh?
Yeah. I mean, there's no. I'm not going to make any impact. So.
Does shitty even count as a swear on our... Like, you got to get a little...
Not even close. Not even
that was
That's
a
like
warning shot.
kindergarten.
That was like testing the waters.
Yeah, that's right.
That was sound check.
Yeah, curse check.
Fucking bring it on.
And really, any state that would be, any state that you mean by worst state would be anything that's not California or Washington.
I think what you were trying to say is that most people in office now hold your views so that you wouldn't be
In
effectual.
California,
Is that
that's
what?
right.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, okay.
It's such a liberal
You need
state
to move
that
to
I just-
Ohio.
Yeah,
and run.
exactly. Yeah.
So, get on it.
I know. Yeah, but the downside in that whole plan is that I would have to live in a shitty state. Like, that's the part.
Oh, yeah.
Ah, man.
It's
Can I
not
do
a
it remotely?
foolproof
They need to
plan.
fix it's the internet age. Come on.
Yes,
We should
just
be able
do
to.
it by
Well, and
Skype.
I think Ohio is still one of the states where you have to be Christian to hold public office.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. One of
I don't
those.
know.
Wow.
I mean, it won't
There's
work
lots
for
of
me
them.
because I'm a podcaster, but I mean,
Yeah.
you could just do the old, if God is love in the universe, then yeah, of course I believe in God.
Super religious.
Yeah.
So, how did you get started doing podcasting?
Well, it was interesting. I was pretty much always an atheist in my whole life. I was raised to go to church, but it was just something I had to do. I didn't really, I mean, I kind of was whatever as a kid. You know, you're like just going along with stuff.
Yeah.
And, but I think I think I eventually just kind of realized, like, nah, I just don't believe this. I wish I could. I actually always wished I could believe it because it'd be, a lot of it would be really nice. Like, I do wish we were all going to a better place. That would be fun. You know, 'cause this place sucks. Like, it'd be fun to go to a good place. But as much as that would be nice, it doesn't make any sense. And so I always knew I was an atheist. And then, but I always kind of defended religion for a while, you know, just because my family was religious. I was one of those assholes that's like, oh, no, you know, it's people who are religious are fine. They're smart, whatever. And then eventually I started reading you know, the typical authors in college, or no, actually more like just after college. I started reading, you know, Dawkins and Hitchens and all that, and was like, well, sure, some religious people are smart, but there's a whole lot of really bad religious people going on in this country and the Christian right and all that crap. And I guess I had never thought, what I had always done is pretended that everybody believed what I would believe. So like when I was entertaining beliefs in Christianity, it was a version that I had made up in my head. Like, okay, there's no hell. That wouldn't make any sense. So that doesn't exist. Like, I had made God to be as smart as I would be if I were God, which, you know, is still just me, but it's smarter than some people's God. And then I realized, like, oh, that not everyone, you know, like some people just really believe the crap that's in the Bible. They just believe this stupid stuff. And that when I started to realize that, it was like, you know, I need to be treating this differently. So anyway, in like 2010, I just decided I'd never read the Bible all the way through. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to read this stupid thing. And I thought, you know, podcasts were pretty new back then. They were sort of just up and coming. And I thought, you know, if I'm doing it, I'm just going to record it. Like, screw it. I'm just going to read it. I consider myself a pretty funny guy. I'm just going to read the Bible, see what happens. And I figured worst case scenario, if I suck and it's not entertaining, then it's just an audiobook of the Bible. And like maybe someone will listen to that, you know?
Somebody
and then,
will, yeah.
But best case scenario, maybe it'll be funny. And so I just started doing it. And I started off on way too ambitious of a schedule. I was trying to do like an episode a day. And it was God. I did that for, I think, like 2 weeks, 3, I can't remember. I kept it up for a few weeks, maybe a month at most. And then I was like, I'm going to kill myself. This is the worst.
Yeah, you'd have to have nothing else to do, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And so I slowed down. And back then, you know, I just had like 20 listeners. I had like nothing going on. And I was just kind of doing it for no reason. And that continued for a long time. And like one of the things I said, because I finally recently, you know, quit my job and was able to do this full time. One of the things I said about that is you really got to do shit for no reason for an awfully long time. Like I to this day, I cannot give you a good answer of why I kept doing this shitty bullshit, you know, Thomas and the Bible podcast that had 30, 60, you know, eventually it was like, 100 listeners. Incredible. You know, like I don't know why I kept doing it. Like it was a waste of time, but I guess you have to waste your time for, you know, 4 years until things start happening.
Yeah.
Hey, we have 100 listeners. No.
There you go. Yeah, you know.
Start somewhere.
I'm sure. Well, nowadays, I mean,
it's only 15 each.
Yeah. But I don't even know if I had that, to be honest with you. But then cognitive dissonance, I don't know if you know those guys.
Yep.
They eventually heard me somehow. I guess they were one of the 100 people that were listening to my shit show.
Nice.
And they liked what I was doing, and they asked me to come on their show, and they gave me a big boost because they had a decent audience. And from there, it was like, okay, I got more attention, more listeners. And some years later, I was just sick of only getting to talk about the Bible because it is an immensely boring book. Like it is above all else. Forget all the bad morals and all the everything, like the, you know, child killing and the raping and the murder and all that. Mm-hmm. Forget all that. Above and beyond everything else, it's a boring piece of shit. It is the boringest. Because it could even be bad morals, but it'd be like, you know, I don't know, Game of Thrones. Like if everybody was Joffrey in the Bible, you'd still say like, oh, this is an evil book. But yeah, it was entertaining, you know, whatever.
You're not supposed to emulate Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Like, that's not what he had in mind. And you can't go with the Quran because you don't want to die. You know, you can't just like go and mock the Quran on. podcast.
Well,
so.
I was going to someday.
Really?
But,
You were going to? You like
well,
living in
but
hiding?
anyway, I mean, I would draw a distinction between like there's a horrible message, sure, and it's crap, but also it is just painfully boring. Like just it's so uninteresting. So
I know I went to Catholic school, right? Right?
Yeah. Well, and
Sorry.
even then, though, they always pick like the 1 or 2 or 3 or dozen passages that are like kind of interesting and relevant that you just focus on. Like that's what I had when I was in, Bible study or whatever as a kid. Like they're just a handful of little passages, but you don't realize just how much nothing there is.
Yeah.
Filler.
Well, that's Bible studies, and then you graduate to like Bible high school, and they're like, "All right, now we want you to memorize numbers," and you're like, "Oh."
You weren't in Bible quizzing.
I didn't do that.
Yeah,
I never got to your level, Destin.
The deal that my mom made with all of my siblings and I was, we only had to go to church up until high school, and then it was optional. And I was like, "Oh, well, let me tell you the option I'm taking."
That's easy then.
Wow.
I take the option of not going.
Angela's
Yeah.
amazed.
I'm super jealous of you.
Oh yeah, I was not at all raised
It was
in like a
non-negotiable in my house.
Yeah. I was raised very loosely Christian, and my dad was an atheist, so it was just my mom was kind of pushing it. And like small town community kind of stuff, like it makes sense for her and all that. But yeah, to her credit, she didn't force anything on me. She did up until 8th grade or whatever. But anyway, after a while, I got really bored of just talking about the Bible, and I wanted a chance to talk about like other issues, things going on in atheism and just, I don't know, random stuff, science, politics, philosophy, whatever. So I started my other show, which at the time, of course, was called Atheistically Speaking. And that really gave me a chance to explore just whatever I wanted. And I've enjoyed it ever since. And then this is a pretty boring story, but I'll keep going. If no one stops me,
It's better than the Bible.
It's almost like you're a podcaster. You can just keep going and talking.
I know. I really can't. Like I'm just filling the time till somebody yanks me with a little cane, like a whatever.
Yeah.
Like in the cartoons where they just pulls me off stage.
Yeah.
Podcast, dude.
Okay,
That's a
I'll
visual
go.
thing.
So yeah, I eventually was doing that. It was really fun, and then David Smalley gave me my big boost. And
was that actually a big boost to you, that little episode with David Smalley?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't want to get into it too much, but to be frank, yeah, that was probably tripled my audience.
Oh, geez, wow.
Yeah, just incredible. Maybe doubled it. There was a lot of people, I think, who were relieved to hear that finally happen.
Right.
And from what I've gained, and I had no idea at the time, to be honest with you. Like, I just was like, let's talk about this, whatever. I'm the kind of guy, like, I'm going to stick to what I think is right, and that's what happened for me, in my opinion.
So those of us who are not in the know, what are you describing? I'm not cool. Sorry, dude.
I don't want to talk about it.
There was just to quickly describe it. There was an online discussion, and David Smalley was involved, and Thomas's partner.
Really between him and Andrew Torres. I just was trying to facilitate something on the podcast, but I had sort of criticized him. I'd poked fun at him. To be fair, I certainly poked fun at it.
This David Smalley guy says what?
He's a.
I'm not cool.
He's a podcaster as well.
Right.
He runs
I shouldn't have brought it up. Yeah,
but an atheist podcaster,
yes.
Okay. Oh, arguments within the community. I love it. Atheism 90210.
Yeah, it turned into a meltdown fucking shit show.
All right, I get it. Okay, no more questions.
But that actually is something that seems to get a lot of people interested in things, is when there's infighting.
It's kind of sad, to be honest with you. It is kind of sad. Like, I wish that weren't. I still look back and say, like, why is that what launched me so much further? And it sucks. I wish I could say it was, like some awesome episode I did on which, right. I try to do awesome episodes. Like, I try to keep up the quality and the research and the guests, but no, it had to be a spat that people. I think there's reasons it appealed to people.
Yeah, I think it's drama for whatever cheap, stupid reason. It's drama.
I'm totally going to go look it up now after this because I'm excited. But you know what? Science is based on conflict. You should see how scientists argue at conferences, right? Yeah. It's beautiful. It's how you make progress.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Provided
but anyway,
everybody changes their minds.
Yeah. Through the course of Atheistically Speaking, I at one point met Andrew Torres, who he just messaged me after I'm pretty sure it's a little fuzzy because, all this time I still had a full-time job and was just working 80 hours a day, just never not working because of all these podcasts. And but I think he messaged me after an abortion debate, and he said, "Hey, just letting you know, I'm a lawyer with a practice here. Check out my website, and I just want to let you know on that last episode, the right to abortion kind of comes from the right to privacy. This is, of course, all U.S. law bullshit that you guys don't have to care about. But anyway." And however he said it, and he linked the blog, and I was like, this is a smart guy. Like, he's right about this. And maybe I'll have him on sometime. And I had him on for a couple things, for like Scalia when he died, and talking about how Scalia, his originalism is actually incredibly activist. Like conservatives in our country always accuse liberals of being activist justices, but really originalism is far more activist, which was a great point, and I was really happy to have him on to talk about it. And we sort of developed a bit of a friendship and a professional relationship of just like, wow, this is a really smart guy who I can go to with any legal question, anything that comes up, that might be interesting to the secular community. We talked about, there's a little bit more drama, but Richard Carrier's lawsuit and like just little things that come up that are relevant to skeptics and all that. And then eventually so many people were telling us to start a show. But here's the thing. I was so busy. I was, like I said, I was dying just trying to keep up with everything. And I had decided in my mind, like I thought, I'm not going to initiate this because I just can't take on another thing. But if Andrew asks me, like, let's start a podcast, I'm going to do it. Like, that's what I decided. I was like, I'm just kind of, I'll just wait till he approaches me. And, time was going by. People were like, oh, you guys should start a podcast. So interesting. But, and then eventually Andrew's like, hey, maybe we should start a podcast. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. Fine. And it turned out to be the best decision of my life because the Opening Arguments podcast that we do it is absolutely stellar. And I say that because it's mainly Andrew. Like, I do the production work and all the, I try to make it a little funny or entertaining, but his knowledge and his research and his just expertise is what makes that show so great. And week in, week out, I'm just blown away by how much interesting information is in that show. And I'm truly very proud of it. And that one is growing. I can say that at least that one is big because of the good work that Andrew has done. And we actually got that podcast, I'm proud to say, the episode that we did on Hillary's emails got tweeted out by Sam Harris. And that was a big deal for us. Wow. Yeah.
Well, I totally understand.
Website.
Wow.
And I totally respect the being in a podcast scenario or a situation where you're in a podcast with somebody and you're there just trying to lighten the mood and just being the entertainment because the other person is so much, they have all the content and they're the smart one in the room. I totally get it because Corey has that problem too.
You're just our eye candy.
He's here for
waiting for the punchline.
Just picking a target. He was just deciding who he was going to.
Yeah.
He always.
Oh, I knew it was going to be me. I just didn't know what form it would come in.
Yeah.
No, I'm basically the comic relief in here. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there you go.
I thought you were the pretty face.
Yeah, for podcasting, that works. Yeah.
Got the face for radio?
Face for radio?
Yep.
I didn't mean for that to be mean. Not mean, Corey.
Yes. So, yeah, I guess Opening Arguments has been one of the big hit podcasts of everybody that I follow. It's
yeah, thanks.
Pretty.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I've actually heard your story a few times about your starting off by trying to read the Bible out. I think
Did I mess anything up?
No.
No,
Yes,
you told it accurately.
Yes, you plagiarized your own story very well.
On January 5th, 2008, you said this. And it's contradict. No,
because you were on I can't remember which podcast I was listening to about 6 months ago, and they asked you the same question. And you just sound like exactly the same. Like it's hard to deliver the same story over and over again enthusiastically.
Yeah, well,
because in the back of your head you're like, "Fuck, I'm so sick of explaining this to people."
Well, no, okay. Well, the fact is that one of the things that, and I think a lot about this. I don't know if it'll be interesting to anybody, but like one of the things that I think has driven me and makes me who I am is that I have low self-esteem and don't think anyone's interested in anything I'm saying. So I have to like.
I know that feeling.
We got room on the show for one more.
Yeah.
You want to
I
join
would
us
try to
every 2
keep
weeks?
up the mentality of like, okay, someone is maybe finding this interesting. So that's what you're hearing. But I also am a very I'm to a fault sincere, and I can't. So the story's gonna be the same damn thing every time because I'm not one of those guys who can like make up a good story and like add some flavorful details. I just kind of I don't know. That's what happened. There's all the facts as I remember them.
No, just the fact that you can stay enthusiastic about it.
Oh, okay.
Especially about.
I thought you were saying I wasn't enthusiastic. Oh.
No, you
Okay.
totally are, and it's really hard because having read through the Bible, it's hard to be enthusiastic about that in any way.
Yeah,
and not repeating how enthusiastic it is.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's tough. I mean, fortunately, I got that 6-month break, so that I was able to my enthusiasm batteries.
Well, you said you have a low self-esteem in a sense, but how does that work with? Because you just started speaking at conferences and stuff.
I did one, yeah. I want to do more. It was really fun.
How do you manage the anxiety when you're standing up in front of people like that?
Medication, yeah.
yeah, there you go.
No, I have. Well, it's two different things. So, like, I do have horrible performance anxiety. I always have, and it doesn't matter like what. If I'm in front of people, my heart just explodes. So I have to take pill for that. But like there's that, which is just sort of a physiological thing, and then there's just the overall mindset of like, is this any good?
Yeah.
And it's hard. Like I'm probably a pain in the ass because I'm asking Haley, my production assistant, or I'm asking my wife, or I'm asking whoever, like, hey, is this good? Is this any good? And like I kind of, but at the same time, there's like two brains in my brain, which is one is like more objective. And it's like, yeah, I mean, however many people listen to your bullshit show, like obviously somebody's interested in it. And then there's the other me that's like, no, nothing you do is interesting. but they kind of both exist. And I kind of knew, because the talk I did, I'm very proud of. I think it was very good, actually, which I don't say about things I do ever, but unless Andrew's involved. But I think it came together, and I think it's a result of doing 6 years of talking about the Bible. Like I just had 6 years worth of material to choose from, of jokes and whatever, and I could just kind of pick. And actually, I made up some new stuff for it too, and it's just a funny topic. Like the Bible is such an easy target because it's so bad. So I did. I was scared. Like I was scared it was going to just flop. I really was. I kept asking Haley. I was like, "What if I just start talking and just blank, just nothing, and
no laughs at all.
That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen." I was like, "Yeah, but what if it does?" But I don't know. In life, it's hard. You got to just try to still do it,
But
and it's
you live in California. Can't you just smoke a couple bowls and chill out?
Yeah, no, I've never been a
I'm just kidding. I'm just a general California thing, right?
Well, yeah, or let's see, would it be Colorado or Washington? Well, but I guess it just was legalized in California, but I think it's going to take like a year or something until it's actually available for like to just anybody without some weird medical card or whatever.
You can make some Canada jokes about igloos and stuff if you want to.
Hey,
get us back. That's fine.
Ice hockey. So
cool.
like I'm a huge.
It's not ice hockey. It's just hockey. It's not ice skating. It's just skating, man.
No, you know why I said it.
And it's not soda. It's pop. Sorry, continue. Sorry.
No, that's wrong. It's ice. I said ice hockey because when I say it here. When I say, yeah, I play hockey, everyone's like, oh, like roller hockey or what? So.
How is that the default? What the fuck is wrong with you people?
Well, when you don't have ice.
It's fucking
California. There's no ice here. It's just a sun. We live on the sun. I don't know if you know that. That's why the default is fire hockey. It's not ice hockey.
That's great.
So,
yet somehow you have how many NHL teams in California?
I know.
No bitterness at all over there.
Yeah. Crazy. and they're all pretty good actually.
There's going to be one in Vegas soon, maybe?
I love how your Canada teams have been bullshit recently.
Oh,
you know,
God.
Did you guys know that last year was the first year in like forever that no Canada team made the playoffs?
Yes, we knew.
All of our sports teams.
Thanks for bringing
you have
it
to have
up.
a day of mourning. Was it?
People were pretty choked.
All of our sports teams are farm teams for American sports.
Let's face facts. All the really good Canadian players are down like somewhere like in Phoenix, like somewhere goofy.
Yeah.
Technically, we still had players on every team that was in the playoffs.
And they all come from Russia.
Yeah. I would say there's probably also
Trump's trying to build a super hockey team. That's what's actually happening.
That's the grand plan.
Tremendous.
Tremendous hockey.
Tremendous, yes.
So
I'm just picturing Trump in a Don Cherry outfit.
Honestly, today is like the day that for me, you say the word Trump, and I just can't even work up any outrage. I'm just like defeated.
The day the laughter died.
Yeah.
That's okay. We're going to have our own moment, in a few years when Kevin O'Leary is prime minister.
We have our own Trump up here. I don't know if you follow Canadian politics because
no, we already had Rob Ford. Okay, we already had Rob Ford. That is all we are done. We've had our fill.
But
Canadian politics.
But
he was a good mayor.
Okay, but have you ever had somebody who literally just should not be in office? Like, I'm not talking
Rob Ford.
bad politician.
Brian Mulroney.
But Trump has
Rob
no
Ford
qualifications.
smoked crack cocaine.
Yeah,
hello.
I love Rob Ford. But he's my favorite.
It will be.
But we
Kevin
love Trump
O'Leary.
the way you like Ford. Okay.
Yeah. Was Ford bad? Did he have bad policy as well, or is he just
No, supposedly he was actually a good mayor.
He was a
That's
mayor
what
of
I'm
our
saying,
most populous city, and he was good at it. He just had
It's
cancer.
debatable. It's debatable.
Everybody had cancer.
The cancer part is
did it,
not debatable, but
and
the
smoked
policy
crack.
part is debatable. He didn't do much for public transit. He didn't do much. He did a lot for the people who drove cars and lived in the suburbs, and he didn't do much for the inner city, in my opinion. But anyways.
Wait, you guys have those there?
We do.
Yeah.
Toronto is like a megapolis, horrible.
Not here, just in Toronto.
Not in the city that rhymes with fun.
Toronto is Canada's city. That's the city.
Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal, all of these cities. Yeah, we have sprawl, and it's awful. But Toronto is another level of awfulness.
It's like L.A. North.
It's bad.
No, I'd say Toronto is New York North.
that's
No,
a
they
good
think they're New York North.
Oh, okay.
They're L.A. North.
It's fucked. I lived there. It's
We are totally.
3 hours
I didn't
each way
derail this.
transit.
No,
not me.
this is Lisa's fault, actually.
Yeah, this is.
Yeah.
I fucking hate Toronto. You bring it up, I'm gonna bitch. It's how it is. Sorry.
So, I guess back onto the other topic. You recently changed the name of your podcast.
Yeah.
You want to get into why that was?
Do I need to explain myself? Oh, that sounded very like, sir, you recently. Is it true on this day?
Are you trying to avoid some taxes?
Talk into the mic. Talk into the mic. Give us a straight answer.
Yes, we're recording this.
Yeah, well, so what had happened is over time. Well, okay, first off, my goal was always to be sort of meta atheism. Like I haven't done a whole lot on is God real? Is God, like all these arguments. I've done a little bit, but for the most part, I always wanted to be somebody talking about issues within the community and about things that atheists themselves disagree with each other on for the most part, social justice, or that's just the first example that springs to mind. But, I don't know, free will or just different topics like that, even though we're all atheists, we might disagree on. And so already that's a sort of a different show from just, hey, here's why God doesn't exist, And over time, I just have found like my interests have kind of gone other ways, and I've been wanting to have more scientists on, maybe authors, philosophers, people doing studies, people doing just interesting stuff. Like I no longer wanted to be limited by the name, which first off was a little cumbersome, wasn't a great name. Just came up with, randomly. Like when I started the show, I actually originally started it with a friend of mine. And he just, I came up with a bunch of names, and he just said like, "Oh, that one's good," and so we went with it. Like it wasn't atheistically speaking, wasn't something we spent years like figuring out and calibrating. Like it was just kind of we went with it. And we were trying to get guests, like really, really interesting people and certain prominent people in a way. And they just wouldn't come on because of the name, because of the atheism in the name.
Okay.
And I'm not a fan of that. Like, I'm not, some people are a little upset, because I've been very open about why I changed it. And I just said essentially what I'm telling you now. Mm-hmm. And I get that people are upset. I certainly get that, like, when atheists hear me say this, they're like, well, that's bullshit, like they should just be able to come on a show called Atheistically Speaking.
Shouldn't
and
matter.
I do agree. And if my focus of the show were still mainly those issues, then I would say, yeah, I'm going to stick to my guns. But to be perfectly frank, the first reason is I've never liked the name. Like, it's a cumbersome, awful name. I don't like it. And secondly to that is I just am not really talking much about atheism anymore. Like, I'm just talking about philosophy and politics and, like just stuff that's nothing to do with atheism.
Right.
And so those are the two major reasons to where, for me, it's just more of a benefit to be able to bring on people who might have otherwise been turned off. And here's the thing I have to tell you. When I announced this name change on Patreon, I did it for my patrons first, I got like 40 comments like, oh, finally, I can share this with my family. Like, just so many people really? Finally, I can share the show. Finally. And I was just like, why didn't I do this earlier? Gosh, I would have had so many more listeners. People just sharing it with people. You guys don't have atheism in the name, so, I'm not the only person.
No, that's right.
But our show was originally called We Suck and We're Stupid.
That has a ring. That has a ring.
Yeah.
I like that. Hey, who would be your dream guest if you could have any guests on your podcast?
Oh, I would love to talk to...
Other than Trump.
No.
Other than the obvious.
You know what? No. Trump is a waste of fucking time. Yeah. I would not have him on. He's a waste of time. He is not even interesting. No. He's uninteresting. Nothing he says matters.
Oh my God, he's fired up. I think he was just joking.
No, I just thought of it.
No,
now.
I'd have him live in the studio and then I would strangle him.
No, fuck that. He sucks. He's not entertaining.
So who would
he's
be
the
your
least
dream
entertaining
guest,
person. He really is. See, he was entertaining because he's a bullshit person put in amongst a bunch of other people that didn't know how to handle him. Mm-hmm. So that's why he was interesting to people. But his shtick is old. It's just he just says whatever dumbass thing he's thinking, and then he just denies it later. There's nothing to be gained. You can't interview him. There's no interview that matters. Mm-hmm. You could interview him and he could say like, yes, I'm going to kill all the Jews. And then later, he'll just say
that is uncanny.
That's really
oh my
good.
God, that was good.
Media,
that's creepy.
The fake news, the awful media, they're terrible. They would just say that and then it wouldn't matter.
You should just record your show in his fucking voice.
No, you have to
matter.
stop.
Oh,
You have to
good.
stop and not talk like that anymore.
So anyway, my dream guest would probably be, I would really love to talk to Sam Harris because I have a lot of ideas on his stuff. Yeah, I do too. I mean, but I really do think he's. I never miss his show unless he has Gad Saad on. That's the only one I miss because I don't like that guy. He's terrible.
Which one?
Gad
Saad. I just saw him speak and he speaks.
I listened to that one recently. It was bad. He was a dick. I did not like that dude.
He really is a dick.
And he's Canadian. He's Canadian too. Fuck.
Just a terrible
He
human.
makes me sad.
I'm sorry to go there on this guy because for the most part, I don't, people's personalities, whatever, I'm not going to bother with it. But with him, because I know, do you know Ina?
Well, not personally, but I know who she is. Yeah, Ina.
Yeah, so she's an ex-Muslim and, she disagrees with God on stuff or whatever. And he just teed off on her in the weirdest, creepiest way that it was too much. Like he just tweeted about her. After he had blocked her, he tweeted about her for 3 days and all this weird stuff he was saying.
I didn't like him on the show. I was not
anyone he disagrees with, he calls a beta male because he's like this tough guy persona. It's pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. So he sucks, and I can't believe he was on Sam Harris's show. And that is probably the most disappointing thing I've ever learned about Sam Harris. I was just really, gosh, you're gonna have him on?
He wasn't really putting him in his place, was he? He was sort of agreeing with him quite a bit, and that was surprising. Although I think if you listen to his interviews, Harris doesn't normally. He doesn't disagree with people. He'll kind of lets them talk, and I kind of like it. Like he had what's his name, the chess player guy, Gary Kasparov on, and he was talking about how AI being a problem is having an overpopulation problem on Mars. Like, we shouldn't be worrying about this yet, sort of thing. And Harris has talked quite extensively about how we should worry about AI, but he didn't really take him to task and didn't really argue. He just kind of let him go, and I kind of liked it. It was just a forum, and
I guess I don't know. I would. I'm sorry to do exactly what you're saying you don't like, but I would disagree. Like, I do think he does, like with Paul Bloom and with other people. Like he does like to challenge ideas.
Oh yeah, challenging is good, but
and that's the reason I like him.
Yeah.
But what he doesn't do is do a whole lot of research on his guests, unfortunately. Like, sometimes he just doesn't. Like, Gad has some bullshit talking point about social justice being terrible and free speech, and like a lot of people latch onto that, which it's a whole different issue. But and he just it's a little simplistic.
He seems to be part of the whole no trigger warnings, no safe spaces. You guys are all babies and special snowflakes. You think you deserve a trophy kind of crowd, as opposed to what it actually is. So, anyways,
I mean, I'd be happy to argue about it, but Gad, the thing that's so stupid about Gad is he creates a safe space on his Twitter account. There is no bigger safe space than Gad Saad's Twitter account. I disagreed with him one time respectfully, and he blocked me.
Yeah,
he creates his own bullshit safe space, and then all he does is rail about like people's safe spaces.
But see, a safe space isn't just not allowing a conversation. A safe space just means that, you put a rainbow on your office door. You say, hey, if you're gay, you don't have to hide it from me. Sort of. That's all that means. It doesn't mean we don't talk about things and we don't debate things.
But in his mind, that is what it means.
Yes, I know.
And
exactly.
In his mind, he's being
it's a total
hypocrite.
misunderstanding. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah,
they're the same.
But anyway,
people
I would have Sam Harris on in order to actually challenge him on that. I would love. Yeah. But also, I love the moral landscape. I've got some thoughts on that. He's got a lot of interesting ideas. I really like Sam a lot.
Me too.
I don't mind him.
I used to like him. I had to pull back a little bit from listening to his podcast so much. For sure.
That's okay.
I have one question, and it's a question I always need to ask.
Oh, jeez.
Throughout American history, if you could ask one, if you could ask one politician one question, any of them, what would it be?
One politician through one question?
Like,
what a weird
major politician. I know it's a weird question. I used to ask how many babies do you eat in a week, but apparently people don't like me asking how many babies they eat. So
I want to ask, because I don't care about the past. You know what? I only started following politics like 2 years ago. I was so apathetic. And then, I don't know, something sparked my interest, and I got really into it. So all my answers are going to be current. But I would like to ask, first of all, Paul Ryan to go kill himself. I would like to. I can't stand that guy. I would like to ask what species Mitch McConnell is. I would like to ask.
He's a turtle.
It's obviously a turtle.
Yeah, he is turtly enough for the Turtle Club. His worst reference ever.
Nice.
So no, I would like to ask. Here's what I want to know, and this is live, so I can say this now. But quickly, it won't be interesting. But I want to ask Rubio if he could just kindly, to use I suppose a bit of a sexist utterance, if he could grow a pair and stick to his guns.
Well, you can say grow a pair because now there's lady balls, so it could be a pair of lady balls.
I meant pair of ovaries is what I meant. Grow a pair of ovaries.
Yeah. And
stick to your guns with Tillerson, because Rex Tillerson, the nominee for the Secretary of State, is in bed with Russia and has all these dealings and is way too pro Putin. And it's absurd that Republicans would be backing somebody like that. Yeah. Rubio seems to be pushing back a little, but I want to just ask him right now, like, can you please just stick to your guns? Can you, for one time, Republicans stick up to Trump, like just on this one time? And I bet you it won't happen, but it really should. There's at least 3 or 4 Republicans who are wary, which they obviously should be about this guy. Yeah. And I just don't know that that's going to be enough, though.
Now, how fucked is the world when you have to try to back Rubio?
Yeah, I know. Well, he would do it with Trump too in the election and the primary and all that. He would get all like high and mighty, like, oh, I will never support this man, blah blah. And then he just supported him.
Yeah, they all kind of did that, didn't they?
Yeah, they all
went groveling to kiss the ring.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was, eh? Yeah. Even Mr. Ted Cruz, the last standing.
Yes, he did.
He even was cold calling for him.
Yes.
Even Mitt Romney.
Mittens.
I mean, he was pretty outspoken against them, and he went kissing the ring.
Ugh. So
Yeah, well, I don't know that Romney did actually. I think Trump was trying to get even with him by putting him through a long process to go for Secretary of State. And, actually, this is something Sam Harris talked about, and I saw it elsewhere too. If it's true, there's an interpretation of those events that actually casts Romney in quite a heroic light.
Oh, is that right?
Really? Because it seemed like he went kissing the ring from what I saw, but I could be wrong.
It could be. I'm not saying this is a 100% proposition, but it could be that Romney, who really did, of all Republicans, and by the way, Mormons don't like Trump. They were the one group of people I've never been, a bigger fan of Mormons than in this election.
Right. But wasn't it the Mormon Tabernacle Choir that sang at his inauguration?
That's right.
I know. I don't know why that happened. But Utah really stayed home. Like, nobody voted. They just were like, nah, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
And Romney was he was, like you said, I mean, he was probably, as a Republican, the most principled and outspoken critic of Trump. And there's an interpretation of the events in which he said, you know what, Trump is president, we're fucked. But as long as he's president, maybe I'll try to have some positive influence on his administration. And I know that he's probably, screwing with me on this, but I'm going to go in and just see if I can get this job as Secretary of State in order to make the world a little less shitty. And I don't know, like, I almost would believe that just because of how principled he was during the campaign and the fact that he never backed down. Like, I maybe it's wishful thinking, but I do really hope that's what happened.
Well, maybe he rationalized it to himself that way, but I don't know if that's any good. Like, I don't know.
I suppose
I think it is. I tell you what, I'd rather have him than Tillerson as the secretary.
That's
not
right.
that. I'm not saying that you wouldn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Trump played him though, and he made him look like an ass.
He did.
Sure.
He did.
No question.
He did. Definitely. That's certainly true.
And throughout the last two cycles, just because the guy is fucking nuts doesn't mean he doesn't have a bit of altruism in him, right?
You know what's something really interesting?
The thing is Mitt Romney he struck me as a guy boring as hell. Well, white bread is white bread, but he didn't strike me as like
evil.
Yeah.
Or
yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So
he's a typical conservative. He's a conservative where I as a liberal could say, hey, I disagree with a bunch of shit, but he's not Trump.
You can stomach him.
I would have been crying come election night if he had won instead of Trump. I would have been like, this guy, all right, let's fight him. But Trump is just such an insult to everything I stand for and everything the office of president stands for. It's pathetic. It's really the most heartbreaking thing. Like, I never want to normalize it. And even today, people were making fun of me on Cognitive Dissonance because I went on their live show. And people were like, man, he's so bitter and whatever about Trump. And yeah, I am. It's the worst fucking thing. It's the worst. It's one of the worst things to happen in my lifetime. Like, it's a complete insult to everything that we should hold dear. It really is.
Yeah. And the thing, Trump, he's such an idiot. Like, you hear him talking, God, he's such a moron. But then he does things, like he spins things and he plays people in a way that shows that he does have some intelligence to do some things that are very manipulative and horrible. So I feel like, even though George W. Bush created this word, I actually misunderestimated Trump. I did. I underestimated, but in the wrong way. Right. I misunderestimated Trump, and he pulls shit.
Yeah, that word actually makes sense in a way.
It does.
Yeah.
So does strategery, right?
No, that doesn't.
It was a W, but it's very Trump. Anyways, sorry. I agree.
Yeah, no, I think that he is an idiot, but I think he is a savant. I think he's got he's got a
exactly.
Here's what he is. In the same way, I mean, this is a very boring thing to say, but in the same way, a playground bully is not a genius, and yet they know how to exploit certain aspects of kids.
Nerve.
Like, they know how to make to humiliate someone. They know how to make someone laugh or be,
I think
whatever.
it goes beyond
he has that. He just has a sense of that, and he was able. And what's that?
Sorry. I haven't been on for a couple shows, so I've lost the touch of listening.
It's Skype
interrupting our guest. Oh.
No, it's all right.
I think it goes beyond the schoolyard bully and understanding what he can push. I think he knows the exact scope of how he affects people.
Yeah, I think that's a similar thing. I think that's.
Well, I think that's a little beyond that, though. I think he knows exactly how to say things to piss people off and to get them, because he wants people to hate him. Because the more people that hate him, especially in places like the States, where everything is strife with competition and like right versus left.
Really
I don't.
No, but he doesn't. He doesn't do it intellectually.
He wants people to hate him.
It's
I think he wants everybody to like him. Actually,
Yes. Yeah.
I think it's the other way. It's
No,
a little.
he's really contentious, though.
but I think he believes everything he does is good. So he's contentious in a way of like, everybody should be on my side when I say, how dare John McCain get captured as a, I think he's a narcissist. I really do think he has
he's totally a
personality
narcissist.
disorder. So he thinks everything he says is gold. And that everybody should be on his side for it. You know how much he freaked out over his poll numbers? I mean, he accused the pollsters of faking his approval rating. I mean, he very much wants to be liked.
His approval rating is rigged.
I think the problem is he's bought into his own hype that he's a TV star. It's like a weird mix of he wants to be liked and a big TV star, and there's elements of pro wrestling in there, like. Yeah. He's going for the big pop. And,
so Hasselhoff meets Hulk Hogan.
Maybe.
Kind of, maybe, yeah. Like, it's just kind of
those
with
two,
a bit of Don Cherry.
Maybe Mel Gibson meets Hulk Hogan. I think he'd be a little more crazy in there. A little more crazy.
There's just certain elements, it seems that, he's doing the heel role.
He's not in on the joke, though. Hulk Hogan is in on the joke.
Yeah, Hulk Hogan.
That's why I said Mel Gibson.
In on why
He's
they're
very
entertainers. He's not. Like, he doesn't. I think he believes these things about himself.
Absolutely. And he believes the lies he says as he says them, and he doesn't worry that it's self-contradictory later because he believes it in the moment, right?
Yeah.
Like, and
well,
so
it's
that's
like
why
someone else I saw. They made the distinction between a liar and a bullshit artist.
Yeah.
A liar knows he's telling a lie,
right.
Yeah.
and and he kind of feeds up the lie and tries to back it up. Where Trump is a bullshit artist, he just says whatever the fuck.
I agree.
One's a car salesman, the other one's a politician.
I hate car salesmen.
Yeah,
They're such assholes.
Douchebag.
Yeah, that's right.
Don't even get me started on
Gumby's a car salesman. So I guess we kind of have been talking about Trump, and in some of your recent episodes, you have been discussing kind of the trolling that happens online, and a lot of the trolling is done by Trump supporters. So I wonder if you could what's your take on online trolling?
Well, I guess what I'm against is the attitude that a lot of people have that's like, troller's gonna troll. Like, don't worry about it. Like, you just ignore it. I think there's a context in which that's okay. I think when someone brought up an example in a recent episode, like if you're in a forum where a troll doesn't know anybody and is just trying to bait people, then I think, okay, ignoring that troll is the best option.
Right.
But when there's a team of trolls trying to dox and target certain feminists or something, and it's a nonstop, relentless attack on one person, people who just say, just ignore it, that's bullshit to me. It's really callous and it's really ignorant of what's happening. I mean, to have to live under those conditions is terrible for anyone. And if it's, I would even point it the other way. Like, even if it's a bunch of people are doing that to someone on the alt-right, like, I don't agree with that either. I don't believe in a mass targeting of people online, like, and harassment and doxing and telling people to go kill themselves over and over. I mean, it's just horrifying, and I wish we treated it the way it would be treated in real life. I mean, if someone came up and said that to you in real life, that would be absurd. Like, they would be a horrible person.
Yeah.
There'd be a chance you'd hit them. I wish it could be treated that same way. I know it's wishful thinking, but I wish we could at least try to keep up decorum a little bit and not just try to put it on the victim to ignore it.
Yeah, it seems like an an unfair burden to the person who's being harassed in a sense.
Yeah.
We engage in modern day witch hunts. Like it's crazy. Like
Yeah.
you have to. It's fine to disagree with somebody, but it has to be done respectfully. Like it's just my understanding is that a lot of the trolls you see online they're not free citizens who just choose to sign on and write mean words. They are actually paid and hired by groups who have vested interests that are trying to shake up shit. Is that not so? Like,
well, that
that's
pisses
my
me off because
understanding.
those trolls give trolls like me a bad name.
Yeah, they're not like they're not doing it for free. This is their job. They go around.
I don't know anything about that. Who's hiring these people?
Well, like I believe, for example, the Russians would do it. Such a thing. You would hire.
Okay.
You would
Ignore
get.
Lisa. She's a crazy conspiracy.
I don't think it's
It's
for
not.
example,
I mean, that
they
might
talked about-
exist, but that's not all that's happening. I mean,
I agree.
plenty
No,
of
totally.
business
I think
rules
these things where people jump on a bandwagon and everyone is attacking somebody. That's probably mostly just real people. But for example, I read CBC News, okay, and that's the Canadian Broadcast Corporation. Just in case you don't know. Anyways, so it's a pretty liberal news organization. You'd assume most people reading it are pretty liberal. But if you read the comments section on almost any story, it is super far right. It is extreme and it is hateful.
Yeah.
And okay, there might be some trolls out there, like some freelance trolls just doing it for fun. But I think there's a systematic. I don't know.
There does seem to be an overwhelming number of right-wing.
Yeah.
people.
What are all these people doing? Like really? Like no, it's not. I don't know.
We have a strange disconnect in Canada because our far right is the equivalent to your left.
No, but it'll be pretty extreme. It'll be pretty
it's
extreme
coming. It's coming.
on the
It's
comment
coming,
section. I don't mean average normal people. I mean in the comment section on a CBC News article, you get some pretty extreme comments.
Yeah,
There's
we
some
say
safe
that,
ones.
but we say that our right is the left in the U.S., but that's politically. On a social level, I don't think that's true.
No. Our right is just as far right.
Yeah, like our crazy.
Our gun nuts are pissed off because they don't have the guns. So just imagine all of your crazy gun fuckers down there if they weren't allowed to have the guns.
There's tons of
How
guns
pissed
in
off would
Canada.
they
Well, the irony
No,
is
there are. We have more guns per capita,
Yeah.
but they're like
You have
long
more
rifles.
guns
Yes.
per capita than
Yes.
us?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like each person has more guns, but
they're hunting rifles.
they're hunting rifles.
Yeah,
Serious? 'Cause I think we
yeah.
average like 3 a person here. Like,
Yeah, there's a lot of
There's a lot of guns here.
long guns
Yeah.
here.
Well, private collectors
But
that
yeah,
have
there's
like
very
15
few
or 20
pistols, like
rifles.
Yeah, and there's
handguns.
almost no
Amazing.
handguns.
You have to
Yeah.
have a special license for that, and it's very, very, very
It's
controlled.
really hard to get handguns up here.
And law rockets are pretty scarce.
yeah.
We don't have the extreme. We don't have the availability of the kind of extreme weapons that you certainly.
Yeah, we can't
buy.
go to Walmart and buy a tank.
No.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, I've got my
Rocket
tank
launchers or
parked in the drive.
Diesel?
Is it a diesel tank?
Yeah.
That's why
No,
they
it's
need all
a
the
hybrid.
gas.
It's
Hybrid.
Nice,
hybrid.
nice.
yeah,
He's
I'm
in California.
Yeah.
Environmentally
right.
conscious. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's a
right.
Kia, isn't it?
Well, anybody got any more questions?
I want to ask about there's the story about California wanting to secede from the states.
Do it.
Oh, it
What are your
doesn't
thoughts about that?
It can't happen. It'll never happen. Unfortunately, a lot of the more pleasant fantasies that liberals can hold have been dispelled in my mind by Andrew Torres on Opening Air.
Yeah, he's
you
way
ever have any-
reasonable,
yeah,
hey?
What's that?
He's way too reasonable, eh?
I know it sucks. Now there's no chance we can secede. It's not going to happen.
Well, maybe you guys need like Jason Statham as your next governor. Or...
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
another action
I
hero.
think
I
that,
might actually move to California then.
but I'll turn that into a question. I don't know that might go a different direction, but it's the same reason that I worry when all the smart, reasonable, liberal people have to flee, these Middle Eastern countries or something. It's like, who's going to be left to make the country better?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the same thing could be said here, where it's I get the response. Like, I wish I could move up to Regina with you guys and like play ice hockey every day.
For
That
sure.
would- actually, I think I might. Now that I've talked to myself into
There's
it.
hockey rinks all over the friggin'
Oh my
place.
god!
Are they ice
are they
hockey or
cheap
roller
there?
hockey? No,
I
no.
get fucking raped for hockey fees here. Like
Well,
it just
you can just the city has actual like rinks that they maintain.
they probably
If
fine
there's
you if
water
you don't
outside,
play
it's
hockey.
frozen.
Yeah.
Right?
Some people have them in their backyard, so they
Yeah,
don't.
you just
They
make
just
one.
go out to their
Gosh,
backyard,
I
and
would
there's a
love
rink
that
there.
so much.
They play
Yeah.
pickup hockey in the middle of the street with their skates too. It's,
Yeah,
Okay, wait. So
you're welcome
anyway,
anytime. You're welcome anytime.
Yeah.
California's leaving the U.S. That's in response to the rest of the country not I don't know, not following them politically or feeling like a different sort of culture? Is this in response to Trump or?
Yeah, I mean, it's happened before. It's just little movements that come up. There's even a conservative version of it, which is, well, it might not be seceding, but I think there's a conservative version that wants to split the state up because the big city people are so different from the country people.
Okay.
So there's that too. Like, it goes both ways. Mm-hmm. But I just think, I mean, I wish, like going back to one of the first things we talked about, Hillary won by 3 million votes. So if even just, 1 million of us moved to a different place, like she would have won, which is stupid, because of the Electoral College.
Do you listen to Ralph Nader's podcast?
No,
because he has one. I love Ralph Nader. Anyways, about
you're the only person who listens to that.
I fucking love Ralph Nader. Anyways, so 3 podcasts ago ish, he had you should listen to that. It was a really interesting dude they're campaigning nationally in the United States to at the state level. The way it works in the States is actually the state decides how their electoral college votes go. So most of the states have gone with winner take all, which is why you have this issue with the Electoral College. Yeah. But there are several states who've now joined a movement, and I think once they get a sufficient number of states, that's when these laws take into effect. So they've actually made it laws, I think in 13 states, to say that the state is now no longer going to go with winner takes all for the popular vote in their state. They're going to go for winner takes all popular vote in the country. So, if Hillary Clinton got more votes, then California would put all their votes Hillary Clinton. That's the law that they're So this is a way that you can rather than reforming the Constitution, which is obviously very difficult to do. And this is something that's been going on, I think, since 2005, 2006. So it's been going on for a while, and they're starting to gain momentum here. And so the idea is to petition.
But it's got to be the kind of thing where only liberal states are going to do that because they're the only ones that are incentivized.
You should listen. I know. I think they did. I don't know the examples of states, but they did list some traditionally conservative states who have agreed to do this. And
I can't imagine
and how
why
it is a bipartisan effort. You'd have to listen to the interview. It's very interesting, and they are trying to get it to be. They have support on both sides of the aisle, and they're trying to be apolitical.
Frankly, that would amaze me.
You should listen to the podcast because they've gotten 12 or 13 states to sign on for this already. So
I think there's some states that are, let's just say, further south. Some of the southern states that would be all about the all or nothing. They carry a large number of people.
All of them are all or nothing. You just mean all or nothing because of the going with the popular vote, like for the whole country.
Yeah, they would go with the country's popular vote as opposed to the state's popular vote.
I just can't. I mean, I'll look it up, but I cannot imagine with that having delivered 2 elections to them recently. Right. I cannot imagine that. Well, actually 3, right? Or did Bush lose it both times? I think he lost.
Just the first one, as far as I know.
First one.
But
it wouldn't be worth it for conservative states to do that.
Yeah, I mean, they always stand by. Yeah, I will.
I'm sorry, I'm not that well informed on it.
No, that's okay. Like I'm saying, I will be agnostic about it because I will go check it out.
I appreciate your skepticism.
But I'm just saying that the reason I'm highly doubtful. That's all. Because everybody I know who's a conservative here, they just talk about, the states need to be represented, so we got to have this bullshit system in which Hillary can win 3 million votes and still lose.
I thought traditionally 27 of the U.S. states were conservative. Is that right?
I don't know. It's definitely a higher number than our liberal. It might even be higher than that. I mean, when you look at the map, we
are running short on time now.
Okay. Wait, let me say one quick thing. It's the National Popular Vote by Steven Silberstein, and it's Ralph Nader's podcast from November 19th. So go check it out. That's it. I'm done. Sorry.
No,
that's good. All right. Well, thank you very much for coming on.
Yeah, no problem. It was a pleasure. Thank you guys.
And I guess that is it. We'll go to a commercial break.
All righty.
Thanks
Take care,
very much.
guys.
Have a good one.
Warm.
Thank you so much.
If you like what we're doing and want to help us keep the lights on, go become a patron at patreon.com/Brainstorm Podcast. You can hear the bonus half hour that we record every episode and get a shout out when you support the show. Become a patron for just $1 an episode at patreon.com/Brainstorm Podcast. Or you can support the show by ordering a t-shirt, mug or other gear from our store at caffeepress.ca/Brainstorm Podcast Gear. If you can't afford to become a patron or buy gear, then why not give us a rating or write a review on iTunes or Stitcher? Every rating makes it easier for people to find us. Thanks for your support.
We are given one life, full of billions of small and large decisions. To be somebody, to change, to be kind, to give hope, to become a better person, and to leave a lasting impact on this planet. It is a decision to be made every single day while your heart is still beating. We've made our decision. Absence of clothing. Atheist and science-based apparel and merchandise, donating 50% of our profits to charity. Look good and feel good, without God. Check us out at absenceofclothing.com and find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest for discount codes and other sweet swag.
Use the code BRAINSTORM at absenceofclothing.com and get 10% off.
Hey everybody, this is X.
I'm Kyle.
And I'm Felicia. We're the Utah Outcasts.
3 out, unashamed, and active atheists living in Utah.
And we are personally inviting you to let us love your ears each and every week.
As we take the news, current events, and pop culture and give it a little twist.
A love twist, with consent.
And we'll be joined each week by a special guest to tell us what makes them an outcast like us.
Come find us.
The Utah Outcasts.
On podhell.com, Stitcher, iTunes, Google Play,
Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube.
And on UtahOutcast.com.
We finally bought that domain off the kids handing out mixtapes in the mall.
Come be an outcast with us.
Take care of yourselves out there.
Bonne nuit.
And you're welcome.
All right, and we're back. So, first off, before we get into things too much, Nathan fact-checked our guns per capita quote. Right. And he said, according to one survey, Switzerland-based small arms survey, Canada has 31 firearms per 100 people, and in the U.S. it's 89.
Yeah, small arms.
Yeah, I suppose.
I don't know.
It's not necessarily long guns, but it's not necessarily hunting rifles. But as far as handguns,
yes, that's obviously.
And are those privately owned, or those police, military?
I don't think we want to win this competition anyways.
No, it's not. It's not
Nathan, thanks for listening. We love you.
Yeah, that's right. So,
but I think that's what might be. I mean, I'd have to look into it more, but that might be the distinction between his long guns and handguns, small arms.
Yeah. Well, we still have more guns than people think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. We actually even the 31 per 100 seems high compared to what I was expecting for like if it was handguns or small arms.
Yeah.
But
in Saskatchewan it's 5 guns per person.
Right.
And they're all owned by like 5,000 people.
There's no way to take into account illegal firearms either, and there's so many of those. It's like, especially right now in this city in particular, there's there's a lot of firearms out there. So
that's right.
Okay, so lately I've noticed a lot of people online are really, I guess, averse to using Wikipedia as a source in discussions. And so I shared some links with you guys, and I wanted to see what you thought of this idea that Wikipedia is no good as a source when you're discussing things.
I'd say it depends exactly on what you're discussing, potentially.
Right?
I think it depends on how deep of the discussion you're going.
Right.
Because it's an excellent framework if you really want to go into it. There are bibliographies you can go straight to the sources, but
right.
Well, that's just it. It's a quick reference. It cites its sources.
Yeah, I'm looking at Wikipedia right now. It's saying the United States has 112.6 guns per capita, and that Canada only has 30.8. looking at Wikipedia, can't debate it. There's little letters beside
Wikipedia
numbers.
a reliable source?
Well, if it is, then
but my question
Nathan's
is,
right.
are those all privately owned guns, or are they guns that are in police and military hands too?
Wikipedia doesn't say.
They probably,
exactly, so we don't know.
They probably don't count the military and police, but on a separate thing. But right now, we seem to be in an age where everyone's questioning everything,
right?
And not in a good way. Not in a good way. It's like, okay, Wikipedia, you make that up, but I'm going to quote Alex Jones, but that's
yeah.
true.
Somehow InfoWars is more reliable than Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Does anyone remember 10 or maybe 15 years ago now when you used to have a conversation with someone and somebody would be like, well, I think that the Mormons owe Coca-Cola, and the other person's like, really? You think so? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's true. All right. And you just never fucking knew. And you're never going to go to the library and go to the Dewey Decimal System and pick out your fucking book, right? Now it's like, is that true? No, Snopes says it's not true. There's such a
I mean, you can
different
accept
culture now.
Snopes, but there's also if you just Google it, there's Snopes saying, no, it's not true. And then you're going to find 16 conspiracy sites saying, oh, it's absolutely true.
Well, and apparently, depending on who you ask, Snopes is also unreliable because they're left-leaning liberal.
Well, yeah. Well, this is what seems to be the common problem, is that everything is... there's nothing wrong with questioning, but there's a problem where it's just like, oh, that's just your left-leaning liberal bullshit,
right?
Here's the thing: if I asked you naively, what is the gold standard for a source? What is the best source for a piece of information?
Trump.
Other than Trump.
Other than Trump. For me, I trust a source if they can...
No, not for you personally. For what would be the gold standard? I would say generally people say an academic journal, right? A peer-reviewed journal, right? Okay.
Right.
Even within a peer-reviewed journal, there are mistakes all the time.
Oh, yeah,
I can tell you
right.
that, there is politics involved. And who gets published, who doesn't get published, who's your independent reviewer, who's not. I've done many times where I've looked up sites, citations in a journal, and you try to, this such and such a paper says blah, blah, blah. And you're like, oh, it does? And you go look it up, and the paper doesn't fucking say that. Everyone cites this paper, and it doesn't say what everyone says it says, and it's such a load of bullshit. Because it's humans. So even that even real, real source
for lack of a better term, normal people.
Yeah, for normal humans. I'm just saying, even with journals, you don't get.
Yeah, I know, but I think peer-reviewed journals is going a step beyond.
Oh, that's what I look up. I'm just not fucking dealing with.
Yeah, but then again, you are also very educated,
and I have access to them, right? Because I'm technically a professor, so I can access.
You have access to them. This is where your level is.
We may need that.
If you guys ever want any articles, let me know. I'll get them for you.
Sweet. There's a lot of articles I'm looking for, actually.
But for the rank and file, I guess you'd have to use.
I got the paywall.
Encyclopedia of some sort.
An encyclopedia.
I mean, that's kind of what Wikipedia is, but you kind of, the big rack of encyclopedias, that's supposed to be what you should but
it's going to be outdated the second it's printed, right?
Yeah. I mean, yes, this is the reality. And
Bill Clinton is the president of the United. Oh, okay.
Well, they'll tell you the dates.
Yeah, that's true.
Right, and that's exactly why I said it depends what you're researching and what you're looking at, because the speed of light doesn't really change. If you look it up in an
when they
encyclopedia,
measured a little more accurately, they can add a decimal.
Sure,
that's true.
Just saying.
Yeah, but
and then you know what the most accurate thing is then? Google. Just Google C and the speed of light comes up. I swear to God, it's awesome.
And I think that's the problem is reality is we have to trust Google, but we have people in much of the same way that you used to be taught how to use the Dewey Decimal System or whatever. People almost have to be taught how to translate a Google search.
Yeah, at some point you do have to be able to trust some source, right?
Yeah.
So,
but this is why people should be taught science. This is why people should be taught critical thinking. Because the important thing is not the source. The important thing is you thinking about the neurons that are firing as you're reading this source, right?
Because there seems to be a lot more things going on now is where that doesn't feel right to me.
I fucking hate that.
That doesn't feel right to me.
I had a student tell me that once. He was like, I was a student in my lab, and he was like, I mentioned evolution, and he was like, oh, I don't believe in evolution. I'm like, what? I never actually encountered someone like that, and I was like, what? I don't understand. Yeah, and that's what he said to me. It just doesn't feel right, and I didn't know what to say. I was like,
there's certain things, interpretation, whatever. You can, if you don't like it, whatever. But
I just feel that that's wrong.
Yeah.
I feel like, you don't understand it then because it's like the most perfect, elegant. It's a beautiful model, right? Like it's really elegant.
But like if you say like, E equals MC squared, and if they're like, I don't feel that that's right. I want to be like, no, it's not a thing you fucking feel, you retard. You don't think that's right. And then I want to punch him in the face.
That's not how scientists talk. Scientists don't say, oh, this doesn't feel right. They say, well, the evidence says that it's true. Or if you poke to so-and-so's evidence,
right,
it
but we're
says
talking
that there's
about
a discrepancy of blah, 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 blah. Yeah, but normal people should require evidence to believe things.
But that's also part of, like...
That's cultural.
I think
we need to embed this in our culture.
This is where the problem, I think, it seems to be the way society has kind of shifted, and I don't understand it. If I ever actually can, take the time to, actually do a blog like I thought I was going to do, but
someday
it's never take the time. But
before you die,
before I die, yeah. And that was one of the things I've noticed is like if you look at, seeing it's obviously in the air the whole election of Trump. And up here in Canada, the discussion about maybe, Kevin O'Leary getting the leadership of the Conservatives is this idea that, the intelligentsia, they're just always mocking people that aren't as smart as them. We need someone that's as fucking stupid as I am, to run things because they're real people.
It's ignorance. It's total difference.
Yeah, okay. Well, there we go. We'll use the term ignorance instead of stupid. But it's this idea that for somehow... being educated is a bad thing.
Yeah, that's
I'm not
right.
sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where this idea has come.
I mean, I was
play.
raised with that. Like, my dad always used to say, like, okay, education doesn't make you smart. There's tons of educated people who are stupid.
See, and the thing is,
yes, that's true.
And you know what?
Education makes you less ignorant.
Yeah, that's
but
right.
You know what? There is something to be said in a certain way to be said about that because years of working at the university, I worked with a lot of people getting their degrees and their education, but they weren't that smart. But mind you, I always translated that in my head as there's a lot of people that they can regurgitate facts.
Yeah.
But they don't necessarily understand what they're regurgitating. They can get their undergraduate degree by, they told me this. I write that on the paper. I get my mark.
The thing is, let's just say, when did we stop revering the intellectuals and start mocking them? And when people say they can fix the economy, and all we have to do is kick out the fucking Mexicans. No.
There's like no Mexicans in Canada.
No. We have
Leo.
There's like at least 5. Oh, there's Leo.
Snow Mexicans.
We know. That's just us.
Mexicans.
Huh?
Yeah.
Are Canadians the snow Mexicans?
No.
Oh. No. I don't know. Okay, but you know what's funny though? Because if you actually, what? You're going to kick them out of the country? This is their country.
But convince a conservative of that.
What? That makes no sense. First Nations means first.
The thing that I don't think that it's necessarily a bad thing in our society to be educated. I think it's still a thing that people do, and I think it's widely accepted to go to university. But I also think that we live in a bubble in a lot of ways, and I think sometimes social media does this, the internet age, where we're not actually sitting around a table having a conversation and sharing ideas. We're just sitting in our rooms posting shit and throwing it out into the ether, and we're not actually,
if you disagree with me, block.
Exactly. We're not having that mutual respect for each other and actually having a conversation and putting ourselves in other people's shoes.
Right.
Like, we can study for a test and get a good mark, write an essay, bullshit enough to get a good mark, figure out what kind of way the prof is leaning so that we can write such a paper so that they give us a good mark. That's easy, but it's hard to challenge our beliefs. It's hard to be in a situation where, people believe or think differently than you do. And they're challenging you to change your opinion about things and say, no, this is right. I don't think that muscle is being is being exercised.
I agree.
I don't think that is happening as much as it should. I get frustrated and blocked. Sorry.
No.
I get frustrated because I try to have conversations with people on the internet, and they're like, or they're like, here's my points, blah, 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 blah. It's like, no, you're wrong. No, I disagree with you. And then they're like, you fucking stupid bitch, and stuff, and start calling me fucking names. And then
things they'd never do in person.
Well, yeah,
true.
Exactly. And then they think, well, you're like, they accuse me who's asking a legitimate question, and they think that they could get rid of me by calling me a stupid bitch or whatever, and call me names and assassinate my character, and that's how people are winning arguments. And I think that's the problem. That's why we live in the post-truth era, because we're just drowning people out.
That's what I was trying to say. This is cultural. It's not education. It's not like people get a good education, therefore they will not act like this.
No.
I think in our culture it has to be a thing that says, I prefer to have a discussion with you that's evidence-based and fact-based and not slinging mud and name-calling.
And don't be emotionally attached to your argument either.
Yeah. Well, that's it. People, and this is since the advent of the internet, and I don't know if it's good or bad that I'm older than the internet. I remember pre-internet, but
God, you're so fucking old.
Right? People.
Hey, don't mock. Dinosaur meat tasted awesome.
What did Brontosaurus taste like?
Brachiosaurus. Brontosaurus isn't actually a dinosaur.
It is now.
Oh, sure, yeah.
They refound. Like they found stuff and
hey Dustin, how did go again. Fuck yourself
it's
a Saurus taste?
All right. Dinosaur Train was telling me otherwise.
I love Dinosaur Train. And Land Before Time.
We also tend to get derailed really easily.
No kidding.
Trying to have actual
Squirrel.
conversations.
Okay, you were saying.
We're in an age, and it started with chat rooms, where opinions and feelings carry as much weight as knowledge.
Yep.
And that's how Trump won.
Yes.
Because people didn't vote on facts. Nobody gives a fuck about what the truth is.
And his supporters don't care about that. He tapped into that.
It's called groupthink.
Yeah.
It's called
it's not even groupthink. It's not even groupthink. Trump, but
that has some level of reasoning and argument in groupthink.
But
yeah,
if somebody's saying something on TV, and it resonates with how I feel, I'll care
with your worldview. Yeah,
confirmation bias.
If they're telling me the truth and what's actually factually true, and the fact that we actually have to use actually and factually before we say true now, because fact and truth aren't just good enough on their own, because people have their own fucking truths now.
Yeah.
And the lines have been blurred to the point where there is no line anymore. There is no truth. It's subjective somehow. And the world's fucked.
So what the opposite of truth? Most people say a lie, right? So
no, it's ignorance.
So I was reading an article recently, and it said, I don't agree with maybe it was like the New York Times has decided that they're no longer going to say Trump has lied. They're no longer going to say that he's lied. And it's funny because I had a very similar discussion with my 5-year-old. He said to me, "Mom, Trevor at daycare said Darth Vader is actually D3D. He's a liar, right?" And I'm like, "No, honey, he's not lying. He thinks he's right. He's just mistaken."
He's just
right.
ignorant.
So we talk about some, and he's like, "Mommy, you're mistaken about things all the time." But that's what Trump is. He's just mistaken. He's just wrong. He's not lying because he thinks what he's saying is true when he says it. So he's actually not a liar. He's just wrong.
Yeah, that's right.
He doesn't even think about what he's saying. I don't mean before he says it.
All.
As he's saying it and after he says it.
No, and he doesn't require it to be self-consistent in his worldview because it doesn't matter. Is whatever he's saying at that moment is true, and it doesn't matter. Why are you bringing up what I said before? No, I'm saying this now. This is true.
He is what I would call a super type A. Where it doesn't matter what I say, I'm just going to say whatever it takes for you to agree with me.
That's exactly right.
All
exactly
that matters.
Yes. It doesn't matter how true it is.
Yeah,
absolutely. 100% agree.
But, and in a world where fact means nothing, who the fuck cares about Wikipedia?
A lot of people do.
No. What fucking source is going to be good enough? Because if people only care about how they feel, do you know who's going to be right all the time? Fucking TMZ. That's a legit source now.
TMZ.
Because they get the story out first.
And they actually often have video evidence.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Bigfoot is real now because I feel it.
No, I've seen video evidence of that.
Yeah,
and
it was grainy and really shitty, but I saw
really
video.
far away.
And
I
you
think
can
I saw a
identify
guy with a watch.
You can identify as a squirrel. That's fine.
So call me crazy, but is it not generally so that when people have fact-checked Wikipedia, it is generally correct? Like it is,
yes, it
on
is.
average?
As a quick reference, it is a great source.
Yeah.
If you're writing a thesis, no.
It doesn't fly.
You kind of got to use the sources that it's using if you're going to write it.
But you can use it. You can use it as a base reference to start with.
I use it all
gonna
the time. If something comes up, I'm like, I don't know what the fuck that is. Oh,
of course you do.
That's what it is. That's Wikipedia. Oh yeah.
But then if you see it and you're like, well, maybe I better go a little deeper so I can understand it better.
But I believe this is Steve Carell's birthday. All right, like I'm not going to double check it.
Yeah,
whatever.
No, that's right.
Like,
that's IMDb. Come on. That's always legit.
Yeah. But then again, that's just it. Is I'm also not writing a deep I'm not writing a thesis.
On IMDb.
Dave's on IMDb?
Yeah.
Chilean's Gone Wild.
Yeah, if you want to know.
Chilean's Gone Wild.
IMDb. I'm a composer and a sound department person.
Nice.
There you go.
What?
It says you're a person?
I'm a person.
I
Does
do
it say
not
human
have
or person?
your IMDb page on our links on the page. I'm going to have to change
we
it.
should have
a picture?
put it up.
I don't have my picture in there. I'm just
use the one I gave you.
Oh yeah, this one.
Yes. Take a picture of that pin.
Gumby found a pin from when I was like 10. So
It's so, you guys, it's so awesome.
You found an adorable picture of baby Dave?
Yeah, with his cute little baby blacks.
Yeah. He's so,
I want to see.
His deep, soulless black eyes.
Yeah, my football photo.
Back before cameras had resolution.
In Canada, we call it soccer.
Yes.
Toronto Football Club.
To add to this discussion, though, I was watching Facebook the other day, and I found a post.
You were watching Facebook?
I was looking at Facebook, scrolling for my news feed.
Well, just waiting for it to update.
I'm sorry. It's okay.
Lisa's fault.
I needed to rant about this because it was frustrating because one of the groups that I am in on Facebook is a sort of borderline sketchy / not science-based group of women who are
stalkers,
health enthusiasts.
Yes.
And
my idea
is this sorry, I won't say it. I know where you're going.
The post specifically, the admin leader person, she's written a book. She's a chef. She's a she studied positive psychology or something, and she's all about
fuck is that?
What, yeah, can we pause there for what the?
No, we don't have time to pause that.
Okay.
Continue with your story.
I'm gonna check that on Wikipedia.
No derailment.
Are we running late?
We'll be okay.
Are you sure?
You go ahead with your story.
The thing that stuck out to me was that she was in a different forum, and she said, I was attacked by a scientist who was talking about facts and research and stuff. She's like, I get that. As homeopaths, we deal with this all the time.
It's time to leave that group.
I want a teacher that says I was attacked by a scientist.
I thought about that. I haven't, and I thought, you know what, maybe I can start a conversation. But at the same time, it would be like feeding myself to the wolves, I think.
Yes, you are correct.
I have to say, I'm intrigued by the intersection of psychology as it relates to food and as it relates to cravings of sorts, and that kind of what makes the brain work, what motivates us. That type of thing intrigues me, which is why I got into this group in the first place.
Okay.
But then when I read this post and she's like, I was attacked. Like, but were you wrong? Like it was no
but did you
like.
die?
Somebody disagreed with me.
Well, and that's the thing. Like that's like shit. If you're wrong, admit it. If you don't have evidence,
you think the
to support your claim
homeopathist or whatever they are is going to admit that? I
don't know. I don't think
super rare for somebody like that to
now these people.
View.
Sorry to jump in.
These people.
This is what I do.
No, that's okay. I was done my thought.
They also think that their ignorance is as good as other people's knowledge. So as soon as you confront them about their ignorance, they get defensive and angry. And then that's when the shit flinging starts because they're just retarded monkeys. Positive psychology is a scientific study of the strengths that enable individuals and communities to thrive. The field is founded on the belief that people want to lead meaningful and fulfilling lives, to cultivate what is best within themselves, and to enhance their experience of love, work, and play.
Dr. Warm and Fuzzy.
Is that from Wikipedia?
That was Google.
Can I just say something? Like real scientists, people who
That's
actually argue based on, or real social scientists, such as psychologists, argue with each other for real. Like real scientists go like, yeah, like I think you're wrong. I think this evidence, blah blah blah. No, I think you're right. And it's actually in grad school when you go, it's something they forced you to stand up and give presentations and take criticism from the professors and from your peers. Yeah, and it really trains. And it's not that people are trying to be dicks, and it does feel like emotionally difficult to start, but it's something you got to learn because you got to be able to say, okay, stop. No, I think you're wrong because of that. Or I can point to that, and that's what it's. That's the idea. It's not meant to be.
It is tough to
emotionally difficult.
To bring your way of thinking around to being non-confrontational when you're having a disagreement to the point where you actually look at what the other person's saying.
Absolutely.
And actually go, holy
Yeah,
shit, I'm wrong. Sorry.
It is so hard.
And now I'm going to change the way I think.
Yeah.
But if you could...
And Corey's doing better, but...
But I think if you can focus on evidence...
You need to work on it, though.
But if you can focus on evidence, it becomes so much easier. It's so much easier.
Yeah. Okay. On that note, we're going to take a break for music. For live listeners and patrons, you can enjoy the next few minutes, and we'll be back. For the regular feed subscribers, this is where you will end the Skeptic Studio. What do you want to say?
Bye.
Yes, bye-bye.
I'm going to do the singing tonight. It's my all the singing.
We'll see you next week. Make sure to check out the website, brainstormblog.net. I have on Tuesday here, like it's a specific day.
You can't look at the website. We don't have enough patrons to have the website up every day. It's only available on Tuesdays between 2 and 4 Eastern.
If you have comments, criticism, or praise, then you can check out the contact page or email us at mail@brainstormblog.net. All right, remember, if you want to get in touch with us, just send an email to mail@brainstormblog.net or go to our website, brainstormblog.net, and go to the contact page. Check out our website for the demographic survey. There's a link up at the top. It says demographic survey. I've been on a couple other podcasts lately. First was The Wayward Atheists, where we discussed far-right fascism. So go listen to that. I'll put a link in the notes. And I was just interviewed on Inciting Incident podcast today. That one will be out on February 3rd. Anything else?
Pretty full of himself, isn't he?
Yeah, well, we got to promote the show somehow. Yeah. So that's...
We suck at doing it at any other
yeah. Just one last fuck Trump. Okay.
Yeah, fuck Trump.
Oh, we should have the fuck that guy thing.
No, he would like that. No fucking Trump.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh,
okay.
How did we miss out on that?
Fuck that guy, Yeah. Make sure to check out the show notes on the website, brainstormblog.net. You can get bonus content, full-length ad-free episodes, and other bonuses by becoming a patron, just like Daryl, Will, Rob, Nathan, Destin, George, Stephanie, and Janet. Thank you guys for being a patron of the show. Join us in 2 weeks for the next live broadcast on Spreaker. Just enter Brainstorm Podcast into the Spreaker search bar. Remember to rate us and write a review on iTunes or Stitcher and hit that subscribe button. If you leave a review, then let us know so we can read it on the air. Thanks, Dave, for our intro music. Thanks to Alex Kapper-Murdoch for doing the voiceover and for the intro and some of our ads. Thanks to Jason Camo for our outro music. You can find his stuff at aloststateofmind.com. All music played is either with permission or under the SOCAN license to play. For more information on SOCAN, you can check out the music license info on our website. T-shirts, mugs, and other cool shit is available at our Cafe Press store, cafepress.ca/brainstormpodcastgear. And if you have a promo for a podcast or website and want us to play it, then just let us know. Thanks for listening. Make sure to join us on February 3rd with our guest Darren McKee from the Reality Check podcast. Thanks again, and remember, the truth matters.
Really? That's what you came up with?
That's what I'm fucking saying. Because it doesn't.
Sing it, brother.
It's out there somewhere.
little better than X-Files. The truth is out there.
Yeah, the truth matters.
to say thanks to everyone who listens to us, shares the show, gives us a rating on iTunes or Stitcher, or supports us through Patreon and Gumroad. We don't have a lot of interaction sometimes with our listeners, but what we have had proves that we attract some of the best people around. Smart, kind, and cool. An audience truly worthy of the titles hardcore and woo-free. Thanks for helping us make the world a smarter place.
This is an opinion-based podcast. Each person on the podcast is responsible for their own opinions, and those opinions don't necessarily reflect the views of the rest of the panel. Any guests or anyone associated with the people on the podcast, such as spouses, partners, children, other family members, friends, or employers. No one person speaks for the podcast with the possible exception of Corey, and he doesn't speak for anyone else on the show. The Brainstorm podcast does not represent the views of our sponsors.